Hi everyone, welcome to Vidya's Creative Corner. For today's episode, I am going to show you how to make a beautiful craft for Krishna Janmashtami or Krishna Jayanthi as it is called. We will be making this beautiful plaque with baby Krishna's feet on it and a peacock feather as an accent for the festival. One of my earliest memories of Krishna Jayanthi is my mom actually grinding up rice soaked in water in order to make kolam batter, and she would actually draw little feet leading from the door straight up to the puja room. In today's time, with many of our homes carpeted, having the feet drawn on the floor is not exactly possible. Some of us also have pets. We don't want the pets to end up eating the rice powder. So simpler solution or an alternate solution that I came up with was to make this beautiful wooden plaques, which you can make one or several of, and you can lay them out in a path all the way from your front door to the puja mandap itself. To get started, first of all, you would need a small piece of wood. This is a 5 by 5 inch piece of plywood. You can get this in any craft store or any home improvement store or any hobby section area of a craft store. If you don't have access to wood, you can also improvise by using any flat, smooth piece of cardboard. Ridged cardboard will not work well for this project. If you don't have smooth cardboard either, you could use a cereal box or some other thinner cardboard. Cut out maybe 4 squares of the exact same size and glue them together in order to create one flat, reasonably thick plane. To start with, you have this wooden piece. You would need a small piece of sandpaper to smoothen the edges of the wood. You will need black and white acrylic paint. Do not use oil paints or watercolors. Use acrylic paints only. You would need to have a small palette to put your paints in so you can mix them, and a couple of paint brushes, one wide, one narrow tip, and a stylus. This is basically a tool for dotting. It has got a rounded ball peen head. If you don't have access to the stylus, you can very well use toothpicks and a brand new pencil with an eraser in the back, which will do the same function as a rounded head. Let's get started. We first take the piece of wood. You would take the emery paper and you would scrub the sides of the wood in order to make it smooth. You do not want it to have rough edges that can get splinters into your hand. Just go over all 4 sides lightly. Once you have done that, you can feel that the wood is really smooth. Move the dust to one side. Put your wood piece down. What I would suggest to all of you is, if you are going to be working on a table surface that is actually made of good wood, make sure to cover it with an old piece of paper or a sheet so you don't ruin the wood surface. Put a little bit of black acrylic paint on your palette. Drop a few drops of water into it. You don't want it to be really thick, more like buttermilk consistency. Once you get it to that consistency, go over the piece of wood smoothly with strokes going both ways and cover up the piece of wood in its entirety. Be sure that when you are painting it, you also take care of the sides. To me, finishing up a piece of craft is very important. You don't want it to look crude. You want it to give a good, nice appearance when you're done with it. So make sure when you're done, you go over the sides and you cover up paint on all 4 sides also. Once this paint is slightly dry for the first coat, feel free to go over it with a second coat in order to get full black coverage. And the reason we go with the black surface is that the white feet of baby Krishna drawn on it pops better and it looks a lot prettier when you lay it out. I have gone ahead and actually painted a piece of wood right here to work on. As you can see, this piece of wood has got all the edges painted and the surface is painted too. I will touch up a spot of black paint that seems to have come off here. There we go. That should dry up soon. Now your next step is to actually paint the feet of baby Krishna on here. Now, my remembrance from childhood is when we do column designs, this is how we painted the feet of Krishna. It was easier to do it with the column batter, but the way we are going to draw it is like basically a kidney kind of shape, wider at the top and narrower at the heel, and a big toe and 4 little toes. You can draw this on with a pencil on top of your wooden piece. If I draw it with a pencil, you're not going to be able to see it in the light, but since I'm so used to doing this, I'm just going to show you how I go about doing it. Take some white paint, put it on your paint palette, add a few drops of water. Don't make it too thin because you don't want the paint to bleed all over your project. Make sure that the surface is fully dry before you try painting. Otherwise, the white paint will end up either blotting or mixing with the black and you'll have to start all over again. So you make sure that you take paint, you load your brush with paint, make it as fine as you can, and draw the outline of the feet. Don't worry if the outline looks a little rough to start with. Just go ahead. You have one outline of 1 feet and the second outline, because when you're walking, both your feet are not going to be on the same plane. Go ahead and make the second feet outline also. Now go ahead and slowly fill the whole of the feet in with the white paint. Go ahead and give it full coverage so the edges of the feet look clean. Do the same for the other feet too. Don't worry about the feet being perfectly shaped. Basically, the story goes that Lord Krishna comes to your house at night when you're sleeping and he runs towards where the butter is kept in front of the puja mandap in the matki. So they don't have to be the same perfect size. So once you have your 2 feet drawn over here, if your paint looks like it's very thin, wait for 1 coat to dry up before you try doing the second coat. Don't try to do 1 wet coat on top of the other. It'll pull all the paint off. Draw the big toe, second toe, third, fourth, and a tiny little toe there. Then go ahead and do the same on the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the little pinky. And now you have Krishna's baby feet. Now the next thing we do is we are going to wash our brush clean. Keep a rag or paper towel or something so you can wipe your brush off once you're changing from one color to another. Use your stylus or your pen. Dip the ballpoint head. You can even use the back of a ballpoint pen and make a dot on one corner. 3 dots to decorate it. And we are going to take our skinny brush again and we are going to make a wavy column border on the other 2 sides. Basically, you have to load your brush with white paint. Make sure you drop the excess. Make sure it is in a single point. Use a skinnier brush if that is more convenient. This is one of my favorite brushes, so I'm going with a slightly thicker one. Go ahead. My paint is thick, so I'm going to add another drop of water to it. And we go ahead and do a wavy pattern. Once you do one line, feel free, steady your hand by keeping your pinky finger on the table to prevent it from shaking, because sometimes that will happen. Go over it a second time. Now turn your craft sidewise and go over it this way too. If you want, you can do this wavy border all around the 4 sides, but I like doing dots on the other 2 sides. Once you do this, take your dotting tool or your stylus, dip it, 1, 2. Every time you dip it in, you can get 2 dots from it. Otherwise, the stylus will run out of paint. Dip it, 1 dot there, 1 dot here. As I mentioned, if you do not have access to a stylus, feel free to improvise. Anything that has got a circular head will help you get the same results. Dot here, dot here. For smaller dots, sometimes I've even used toothpicks, I've used the back of pens, maybe even a paintbrush you might have. Barbecue sticks, anything with a rounded head will work well as a stylus. Just make sure your hand is steady when you're making these dots. Once you have done these dots, next is to just dip it in and do steadily placed dots on the other 2 sides. You're basically trying to imitate the kolam, as it's called in Tamil, or rangoli as it is called in North India. You're trying to mimic the kolam design using paint. I always loved it till I was old enough. I used to think Krishna actually came to your house and ate all the sweets that you made and served for him for the festival. So once you are done with all of this, if there is any part that you're not happy with in terms of how smooth it is, feel free to take the brush again and go over the lines to get clean lines again. There's a slight, I see the paint is not as smooth over here, so I am going to go over this one section again. There we go. If you like it at this point, you can stop, but I like to customize it a little bit more because Krishna is synonymous with a peacock feather. So I like painting the peacock feather, and it is pretty simple. What you take in order to paint your peacock feather is first take yellow acrylic paint. You can any color bright yellow. There are n number of shades. Always shake your acrylic paint because the lighter liquid tends to rise to the top and you don't want to paint with the watery surface. You don't need to put this into a palette because the paint that you're going to be using is just a dot. So you can just dip your brush into the paint on the lid and make a tiny oval for the feather. Once we do that, the next color around that I like to use is these 2 metallic colors. One is blue metallic and one is green metallic. Typically acrylic paints are cheap. You get them for $1.25 in pretty much any hobby or craft store. Metallic paints are slightly more expensive, but a bottle like this will last you forever. Any number of projects you do, unless you're going to paint the entire piece with it. This is probably going to last you for years. When you do the next blue color as the next round, dip your brush at the corner, take a little bit of paint, go around the yellow paint in a slight heart shape. So that's what the feather typically looks like. Each feather is unique, although to our naked eye they all look alike. Each feather is unique. Once you paint the blue, next what you do is you take your metallic green paint, shake the bottle well, dip your brush in the paint in the corner. Don't take a giant blob, just a little bit, and go around it to draw the fibers of the feather itself. So start from here because that way it'll give you the ability to feather it out. To show you the craft, I'm actually doing it now, but I would advise when you do it, wait till this white border that you have has dried up. Otherwise, you'll end up smearing the white all over the green, which is not what you want to do. Wait till the white dries up. Every layer of paint does need to dry, and acrylics don't take much time to dry. So just give it like maybe a half an hour, 20 minutes, you should be good. So once you do the green, I'm going to skip this area because the white is still wet. The next color you would like to use is blue, deep blue. This is called true blue. Basically anything that looks really bright sapphire blue is a good color to use. I already have some on my plate. I just take a drop and I further feather it on top of the green to give the feathers some more distinction. You don't need to try for perfection because feathers are nature's creation. There will be distinction and different marks. As you can see, I smudged a little bit of white here, but that is not a problem at all. If you feel that the smudge is actually bothering you, go back, take a little bit of your blue or your green color metallic paint and go over the area and just redefine it. That's the whole thing about crafting. You can improvise and just add to it till you're happy with the way it looks. So you get a peacock feather like that, and the final touch is a dot of orange paint. And that can be done, once again, this is just bright tangerine orange. These paints, I pretty much have, I think, over 200 different colors, and they last you forever. I'm always doing craft projects. Just place one dot at the base of the feather. Once you have finished up till this stage, your tile is now complete. Wait for it to fully dry. Once it is fully dry, if you want to preserve it, you can use something called a spray varnish. It is available in any home improvement store. You can use it, or if you have furniture varnish at home that you get in the little cans, you can use that too. But wait until the paint is completely dry before you coat it. And when you do varnish, make sure to do it outdoors in a well-ventilated area. At least make sure you're in a garage or a balcony. You do not want to inhale the fumes of varnish. It's not a good thing. Once it's fully dry, you can make one or however many of this you need. If you want to make a pathway leading all the way from your front door till where Lord Krishna is, you can do that. Otherwise, in your puja room, you can pretty much take Krishna. You can lead here. I'm going to give you an example. Like I would lay out a couple of spots like this. On each one of these pads, you can light a candle for your festival and just make it look oh so pretty. You can put a third one over here, so on and so forth. So it looks like baby Krishna has visited your house. I hope you all give this project a try. Take it one step at a time, and it is a fun and simple project to do. I hope you enjoy making it, and if you do, please do leave feedback for me. Click like on this video and do subscribe to my channel. For those of you who want to just buy such craft pieces, Krishna's feet ready-made as a set, feel free to message me through my Facebook page, Charvi Jewelry, Arts and Crafts. Thank you so much for watching and wish you all a very happy Krishna Janmashtami or Krishna Jayanthi. Thank you.